ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Suprabhatam here for folks attending in the morning time zone here. Namaste to Shri Guru Priya Chaitanya ji. So welcome everyone to session number 19 of our program. We'll continue with the topic of Nakshatra Vidya today. Guru Priya Chaitanya ji, please take it away.
हे विष्णो निहितं कृत्स्नं जगत्त्वय्येव कारणे ज्योतिषां ज्योतिषे तस्मै नमो नारायणाय ते ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम. In the last session, we began discussing Kaghola and the Rashi Chakra. The earth is clearly spinning on its axial tilt, and we see that because of us, because of this, everything in our vision seems to have an ahoratri gati, a diurnal motion, which seems to create this apparent day and night. At the same time, every celestial object seems to be rising eastward and setting westward. And we saw this example of sitting in a chair and revolving. There I had asked a question: how would you locate a person who has moved around? If you were spinning on this chair, can you still discern in your spinning motion in itself if someone has moved from one point to another point? That's where I was talking about the fixed background, the framework of reference. If you look at the fixed background, you will see that even in your spinning motion, you can see that when you last saw that person, the background of that person was something else. And hence, we have the term called graha. See, this graha, grinhati, gati visheshaniti graha, is the definition for a graha. Grahyati iti graha, that is also there, that which actually can hold or possess something. Another beautiful definition for graha. That's why, there is this perennial discussion. How is moon a graha? They will ask. How is sun a graha? All these, right, comes because it's a celestial object that is, because it has its own motion, revolutionary motion. We see the background of those objects changing over time. To discern this is unbelievable. Okay, we should have done a lot of work to discern this. Towards that, we created a frame of reference, and that frame of reference is called, today in modern astronomy, it's called a celestial sphere. Otherwise, it is called a khagola. And this khagola is an imaginary sphere of infinite radius with Earth at its center, and it's it's where we see they are relatively constant positions of vast constellations. And kham means space and gola means a sphere. It's just a space-filled sphere, and we look at it, all the other nakshatras, so that which does not have a kshaya, that does not decay for a very long time, are all spotted on this sphere, celestial sphere. And the various moving objects, all the various moving celestial objects, we call them as graha. So the grahas are all, we try to locate the grahas on this particular celestial sphere. There we also have important points in that celestial sphere: the celestial pole, north and south. Then the extension of our own equator, right, projected onto the celestial sphere, is the celestial equator. This helps us cut and sort of segment the entire visible hemisphere into a one half that is visible to the northern regions and the other half which is not visible, and thereby you can make your calculations and so on. Then comes the ecliptic. The ecliptic is what we started looking at in the last session. So the ecliptic is a particular another line drawn on the celestial sphere. That circular line, that great circle, on a sphere, there is something called the small circle and a great circle. A great circle is one which has the radius of the sphere in itself as the circle's radius as well. The technical astronomical terms, you needn't worry about them. But anyways, we draw the Bha Chakra or the Rashi Chakra on the celestial sphere. How did we come about doing them? That's where we see that our plane of rotation, our plane of revolution around the sun, that creates the apparent sun's path to go across. That I think it is best that we see it through another simulation. I hope you are able to see the screen. When I go into Stellarium, I'm not able to see anyone else in the background. So I might need some audio feedback. This is visible for all, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So again, I've located myself at Palani for the time being. And I'm at this moment, 5:42 p.m. here in Bharat. And we are looking eastward and the moon has already risen for us. Right? And now, we have already done this, right? We have already gone to, let's say, 7, like say 7:20 a.m. every day, right? Every day 7:20 a.m. The same point from the same location on the earth at the same time we observe the sky. We already saw this analemma, that motion of the sun, that infinity like loop, right? That analemma, that is the everyday sun's motion. We saw that it could have a southward motion or a northward motion. This we already saw. Now, what's going to be very interesting is if I remove the atmospheric effect. Let's say I even let's remove the atmosphere alone, atmosphere's presence alone. And then we look at the sun. So the sun is here for us. Now, if I activate the background, okay. Today the sun is in today. Oh, it's not today, it's September. If we come back to today, the sun is in Taurus right now, right? Okay. Now you see, day by day, the exact moment, did you see the background shift? I'm jumping day by day. The sun apparently is moving 1 degree. Its background is shifting. This exact moment, I'm looking at the sun, and its background is continuously shifting. Every day. Every day it moves. Now it is moving through Gemini, then through Kataka or Cancer, then through Simha Rashi or the Leo constellation. Then it goes through Kanya Rashi or the Virgo constellation. It goes through every single day. What happens? Because we see the atmosphere, we're not able to see what's there in the background of the sun, right? But if we remove the background, right, we can see that every day the background of the sun keeps shifting. You see Mercury, Venus, all these Mars, all of them are shifting in their positions. They were all in retrograde motion. Now they have gone back. They are now back to prograde motion.
So is it
So
one
Saturn,
day? sorry, Ji. Is it one constellation per day?
no, it is one constellation per month. That's how we have these 12 months in
Oh,
Indian astronomy.
okay.
So it takes about a degree to go every day, which means every constellation has 30 degrees. So 12 into 30 degrees, so 360 degrees
Okay.
it covers.
Okay.
So now when it comes to Mesha Adi, now actually it has entered Mesha as per the constellation that it is showing right now here. The pieces, the Meena Rashi actually ends here for the Indian system, and actually from here on itself Mesha begins. So on 14th of April every year, we have the new solar year. It enters the Mesha Rashi and it goes through Mesha, and it takes about a month to exit the Mesha Rashi and then enter the Rishabha Rashi. It takes again a month in Rishabha and then it exits Rishabha and goes inside Mithuna, the Gemini. Then again it exits Mithuna, then goes to Karka. So, like that, what has happened when you look at this, that is why this entire, sort of, as we go around, the background will keep changing, right? So that is what is happening here. As we go around every day, how about the moon? Shall we now focus on the moon? If you look at the moon every day, it has jumped a lot. Next huge jump. Okay, it's somewhere else. I need to remove the ground also. Right? And then I need to help at the horizon. Every day, the moon is jumping a lot because in 27.33 days, it completes the entire revolutionary period. Moon jumps a lot. Now let's look at Jupiter or Guru. Let me come back to 2024. So Jupiter is here, right? Look at Jupiter. I keep changing. It's every day there. It's almost like it has no motion. But if I jump months, it might slowly go. And Jupiter stays in a Rashi in a year. Okay. It takes 12 years to complete a revolutionary period. So each month, it goes 1/12 of the Rashi, then it slowly comes out of that Rashi. It goes on like that for a long time. So it's trying to, why it's rotating in many ways is because it is trying to also fit the axis of Jupiter. This is Jupiter. How about Mercury? Mercury's periodicity is much lower. See, every day Mercury is trying to go around the sun, right? Now it's going around the sun, right? And hence we see it in different Rashis at different points in there. It's going the other way around the sun. So it's coming up like that. Then it seems to be going back now. That's called the retrograde or the Vakra motion. So it happens like that. So this is what the Indians figured out. So this exact position of all this is available in our Panchanga. Exact position of all the Navagrahas are available. These at least are, you can ask how during the daytime would they have observed. You can't see anything in the daytime. By carefully studying pre-dawn, post-sunset, looking at Purnima days. During Purnima, moon is 180 degrees away from sun. Thereby, it will tell us exactly where the sun is. So like that, it's like machine learning, right? They try to collect a lot of data and create the important sign functions that help capture the motion of different planetary objects. So this is what has happened when it comes to.
I have one question, Ji. So
Please,
just like you showed the sun entering the Mesha Rashi and indicating that is the solar new year. For moon, if we look at that, would it
So moon
appear?
is not based on that, G, because the lunar months are not based on its revolution.
Okay.
The lunar, we'll come to that, G. Again, one more class. We'll finish this ecliptic, we'll go into moon, and the entire will unravel, especially the three components of Panchanga, which is Nakshatra, Tithi, and Vara. If we unravel this, it will become clear in the next session. And how the calendar works, Indian calendar works, we will see that. But now it's just for us to appreciate the fact that there are different, astronomical events that we record by looking at the background of the different celestial objects. We call these moving celestial objects as graha. Grinhati Gati Visheshaniti Graha. What is this Gati Visheshaha? So every day, if you look at the celestial sky, it would look like they are going eastward. Though all objects are racing in the east and setting in the west, every day it will look like it's receding further back, further back, further back. It will look like that. So it's a Vishesha Gati. It's because of the revolutionary period. And during revolution, just like how if we were driving in loops, right, in circular path, sometimes you will see some people who are behind us as ahead of us, and sometimes who are ahead of us seem to be receding in speed, though they are traveling the same speed. All that is happening when we are observing the planets also. And sometimes they would have reached their apogee and perigee. Their angular velocities can slow down. So many of these we have tried to capture in the Indian tradition. So we created a framework of reference, and since orbital planes of all the grahas are not too far away, we picked this band of constellations. In this entire celestial sphere with full of stars, right? We have picked one particular band, and that band of constellations is this. That helps us locate. So most of the celestial objects are within the window of this particular band, and hence we created something called the ecliptic. So ecliptic is in fact a mathematical projection of our plane of revolution onto the celestial sphere. That accurate, they could do many things in the Indian tradition. That's how we have the Rashi chakras, and that's why these 12 Rashis. There's so many other constellations. Then why these 12 Rashis? Because these 12 30-degree segments help us locate where celestial objects are in the sky, and thereby log this moment, on Earth, that when such and such a thing phenomena was happening, so and so places were the different grahas.
Okay, Ji. I think Prasad Ji has one question.
Yeah, namaste, Chaitanya ji. You said, like, we are the center point of the for everything, right? For all the grahas. So
No, no,
when you are
no. We are the center point of our observable universe. We make observational calculations keeping us in the center.
okay,
These are all
uh,
relative frameworks, Prasadji. Basically, we are taking us to be the center. With respect to us, what's the angular separation between different objects? That's what we are trying to understand.
so when a person is in US and when a person is in India, they both
Yeah, it change.
belongs to,
Yeah. Many things will change, right?
okay.
So your sunrise time is different from my sunrise time. But what won't change is that, for example, let us go back to stellarium. See, there are three frameworks, which I'm not going into in great detail. If I do that, then it will become very confusing. But however, this observer-centric, phenomenon, right? That's why we are talking about, midnight when Krishna was born. When he was born, where is a question, right?
Mm.
So you cannot celebrate, midnight-based birthday at that some point in time somewhere else, right? Typically
Right.
speaking. So like that, these objects, change their location, from place to place. But what's going to happen is that you can see it or not see it. However, their positions, they are going on slowly changing, correct? See, as I'm going around the sun, I'm spinning, right? But other objects are in their rotationary, revolutionary periods based on their own speeds. Be it I'm in US, be it I'm in India, they are at some point in time, at that point in time, correct? So this ecliptic became a observer independent worldview, but this ecliptic choice is taken with Earth as its center in the Bhagola. So here we have a, like lat long, now we have an ecliptic, and the longitude along the ecliptic, how far away it is, etc. We are trying to locate objects on this frame of reference for ourselves. And for that, we have picked this band of constellations, which are easy, which are on the plane, which are parallel to our plane of revolution. Thereby, we see different objects on the background of different constellations in this band. Thereby, we
Okay.
pick these rashis.
So just to clarify, the person who was born at the same time, like in US, at the same time, same minute, will belong to a different Rasi, and the person who was born in US at the same time
No,
will belong to a different
no,
Rasi.
no.
Mm.
What is Rashi? I'll come to it. Give us a little time.
Okay.
But what happens in different locations, we'll go to it in a little time. Just allow me a little time. We will now
Okay.
go draw the kundali of a person who's born at some point in time, and then we'll see what difference comes from there. We will see that now.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Daniel.
yes. So this became the framework of reference. So this is how the solar reckoning of time is there in it. So there is solar reckoning, lunar reckoning, and lunisolar reconciliation. Like that, that's how our calendrical system works. So how do you define a solar year? Saurabdhe Bhaskarasyaiva Jyotish Chakra Paribhramaha Masastu Rashi Bhogaha Syat Ayane Chavidadgati. Says that Gadi is in Vidya. So see this Saurabdhe Bhaskarasyaiva Jyotish Chakra Paribhramaha. Saurabdha, the solar year, is when it completes the Jyoti Chakra. When it goes through this ecliptic once, it's considered to be a solar year. Masaha tu Rashi Bhogaha. When a sun spends time in a particular Rashi, that is considered one Masa. Ayane Chapi Tadgati. Ayana is based on its northward motion or southward motion. All that is said in this verse. What is actually happening is, see, if you look at Surya Siddhanta, if you look at how the solar months are calculated, you see this random 30, 31, 30, 31 in our English calendar. In the Indian calendar, it doesn't work like that. There are states in Bharat that follow solar calendar. There are states in Bharat that follow a lunar calendar for most of their functions. And in the states that follow a solar calendar, you will see that this is happening. Which are all the states? What are all the differences? I'm going to present that in the next class. We are going to go into the Panchanga, how to read the Panchanga, what are the details in it, etc. Now, please appreciate that in the Indian tradition, you will see some solar months when you are from a state that follows a solar calendar. For instance, Tamil Nadu, right? You can see that the calendar has 30 days, sometimes 31, 30, some months even have 32 days. Then it can go to 29, 28, depending on some calculations. Okay. How do you approximate 31 days, 15 hours? Because this is more than half a day, right? So it could have become 32 days for 1 month and the other month not having it. So when it comes to Indian calendrical system, we actually see the position of the sun to determine a month ending and a month starting. So during today's sunrise, as the sun moved from one place to another, if so, a new Masa is born. Till then, the new Masa is not born in the Indian calendrical system. It's not random arithmetic 30, 31, 30, 31, then somebody to appease someone's ego, be it Julius Caesar or Augustus Caesar, when days are borrowed from other months, impoverishing 1 month with less number of days. All that is not the case here. It's not an arbitrary, if anything that is superstitious, it is the current Gregorian calendar that we follow, or bluntly superstitious. No reason to it. You tell me how is October, Octa? Octa means what number in Latin?
8.
8. But October is the 10th month. September, right? Septa is 9th month. Who on earth invented this system? The mega superstitious calendar, in the name of being it secular, around the world we are all syncing ourselves to this calendar. This Gregorian calendar. And look at Decca, December is 12th month instead of 10th. November must be 9th. It's a very, very, it's a basically, in the cleansing of the European, traditional religions and the kind of, the Eurocentric recent and very clearly, Christian agenda. That's how the entire calendrical system has been designed. What are the flaws in it? What are the errors that accrue in it? I'll present it in the next section. But here it is important to observe how beautifully, we have, if you look at the modern time, as I said, many things will dynamically keep changing. But Surya Siddhanta is very old, in the Siddhanta literature, very old Surya Siddhanta. Some people say it is only 10th century CE. That's because of some corrections that could have been done to it. But otherwise, what we know about Surya Siddhanta is that it's a very old text. And if you look at Surya Siddhanta, look at how accurate they were. When you look at the sun, how can you be this accurate? Right? You do not know which Rashi it entered into at what moment. Right? You have tried your best to approximate all this. Right? To a couple of hours is the error that has been there in the Surya Siddhanta. But when it comes later, after the Siddhantic era, comes the post-Siddhantic era, I told you, right? So from the Aryabhata times on, all these have been rectified. To the bang spot, the current calculations, especially, when it comes to sun and moon, we are on the dot, in all our Panchanga calculations about their locations. Way back in the Siddhanta period in itself, in a much earlier era, when, all this, trigonometry, all that was not well enunciated, but many calculations were carefully still made through linear approximations, rational approximations, and so on. You still see that they have very accurately arrived at some among the, with respect to the time that it takes for sun to be in a Rashi Bhoga. That is the time it spends in a Rashi. Right? They have been pretty accurate, pretty good. Not bad at all. So this, in the modern values, are all, this modern value very, very close to Tantra Sangraha. You can't find in seconds, days, hours, minutes, and seconds, you will find point seconds, 0.7, 0.9, seconds vary in their position. That accurate our positioning was. You see, to understand itself is very, very tough, because but how to observationally record this, that is even tougher. How to calculate this is very, very tough. Every day we have a diurnal motion, ahoratra gati, everything is rising and setting. But we have to carefully compute and estimate the background of these celestial objects, whether you can see them or not see. That accurately we were in our mathematical prowess. So now let us come to Rashi Chakra. So the Rashi Chakra is a way to right now create a geospatial timestamp for any event of occurrence. Okay. What we do is, this kind of structure is prevalent in South India. I think there is a slightly geometrically different structure in North India, but that is okay. But the principle is the same. There will be 12 houses, right? There will be 12 houses, and in each of these houses, are akin to 30-degree arc segments in the sky. Okay, 30-degree arc segments in the sky. So this 30-degree arc segments are called Rashi. The prominent constellation in that 30-degree segment. When I say a Rashi, it means 30 degrees. It does not mean the constellation. Whatever constellation was prominent in that Rashi, that became the name of that Rashi. That became the representative of that Rashi. Mesha, constellation will be looking very small, but that 30-degree segment is what is given to Mesha. Be it Mesha, Rishabha, Mithuna, only those 30-degree segments are there. The similar 360-degree we have divided by 12. Instead of dividing it by 12, if you divide 360 by 27, you will get 13-degree 20 minutes. That makes a nakshatra. Why? As I said, the moon takes approximately 27.33 days to complete one revolution around the earth, thereby completing the revolution throughout all the constellations in its background. So to locate the moon's position every day and to label the segment that the moon is occupying on the ecliptic in a particular day, the same ecliptic was divided into 27 segments. So nakshatra, however, we'll pause the comment on it here. We'll reserve nakshatra-based discussions a little later. Now let us look at Rashi in itself. So Rashi is 30-degree segments, as I said, is a Rashi. Okay. This nakshatra is further divided into 4 padas each, 3-degree, 20 minutes each. However, what is the Janma Rashi and Janma Nakshatra? We'll clarify all that in a moment. So we have Mesha, Vrishabha, Mithuna, Karka, Simha, Kanya, Tula, Vrishchika, Dhanuhu, Makara, Kumbha, Meena. Okay. So these are all the 12 Rashis. Dhanus, it is. Okay. Let's look at Dhanuhu as the name here. So Karkata is also called Karka sometimes. So these Rashis are there. Now we want to, let us say, we want right now someone is born in some location. Let me again share my full screen. So let us go to some place on earth. Okay. Let us say at this moment someone was born in Mumbai. Okay, someone was born in Mumbai. I'll remove all this. Okay. Now let us give the birth date for this person. Let's say now this instant someone was born in Mumbai. Now the time is 6/7 and someone was born in Mumbai. And we see where are the different grahas and nakshatras. Okay. I'm sorry, grahas with respect to the rashis that they are in. So first let us begin with sun. The sun is in which rashi right now?
Rishabha.
Rishabha. Right? So let's go to sun and let's mark. Yeah. So Surya is here, right?
How did
Now,
you find Rishabha?
Can you see here, G? Do you see the Taurus?
Okay.
The sun is in the background of the Taurus, right?
Okay.
So this is the Taurus actually. So just to help us understand this, I'll remove the meteor showers for now and the satellites, so it's easy. So Taurus, where the famous Aldebaran Nakshatra is there, right? Okay. So the sun is in Taurus. The Mercury can only be the maximum angular separation between sun and Mercury can be only 48 degrees because it has a shorter orbit, right? You imagine Mercury to be in an orbit along this way, right? So it can maximum be 48 degrees plus or minus sun, which means it can maximum be 1.5 rashis away from a sun, one or the next rashi. Okay, now where is Mercury? Mercury is in which rashi? It is yet to enter Taurus. It is in Gemini. Is this okay for all? Can you see it?
Yes.
To be even more clearer.
I cannot understand.
The background, whichever constellation is G, is the place where Mercury is right now, right? Mercury's position keeps shifting, right? As it keeps revolving around the sun. Currently, the background of Mercury is in between Gemini and Taurus. It has not yet entered Taurus. It is in Gemini.
So you will consider both of them if it is in between?
No, not at all, G. The Indian tradition is very clear. They will mark some place. See, here the Western tradition is saying here it is marking, right? So, like that. So, this is the celestial sphere. Okay. They will carefully observe where it is. Okay. They will see within which angular segment it has come. Okay. Let us not get into that debate currently. Okay. Let us approximate for the time being. Whichever Rashi you say, Mithuna or Gemini, there is a particular point in which it is cutting. Here they are saying, in the Western system, they are saying 90 degrees is being cut here. Right? How is 90 degrees cut here? Right? So they are saying that for them, there is something called the vernal equinox from which they are calculating all this. Let us not worry about it. We will know which degree it is. For example, here there is something called the ecliptic longitude. Ecliptic longitude says that it is at 86 degrees. Mercury is at 86 degrees. It has not crossed 90 degrees, right? So for them, it is still in Taurus as per them. Okay, let's go by that in itself. Let's put these guys in Taurus. Okay, where it is exactly, right? Where Taurus ends exactly, where Mithuna begins exactly in the Indian tradition varies compared to the Western astronomical instrument that we are using right now. So kindly do not be worried. As of now, let's assume that the Western astronomical instrument is correct to Indian calculations as well. Why? What is the difference? After this, I'm going to teach something called Ayana Chalana, in which we'll understand why we should correct for the position of Mercury. Okay, do not worry about it. Right now, as per the Western instrumentation, it's in Taurus. I'm just using the same. Now, where is Jupiter? Jupiter also seems to be in Taurus only. It has not gone past this 90-degree mark. Right? It has not gone past this. So Jupiter, there is Guru, is also here. Then where is Moon? G, what do you see in the background of the Moon? Who's going to answer that?
Kanya.
Kanya Rashi. Right? So Chandra is here. Then who else? Mars, Mangala. Mars is in which Rashi now?
Simha Rashi.
Simha Rashi. Saturn. Saturn is in which Rashi?
Meena Rashi.
Meena Rashi. Venus, Shukra, Venus. In which Rashi is Venus in?
Meena Rashi.
Meena Rashi. Okay. Okay. Now, what do we need? We need to know where is Rahu and Ketu, right? Okay. If I go into Rahu and Ketu, we are going to take some time. However, let me see. So the moon is here. Okay. The moon is here. The Rashi Chak, you see the moon's orbit, right? The moon's orbit and the ecliptic, which is in orange color. They both are slightly tilted. They are tilted by 4.5 degrees. Okay. 4.5. This point, right? This point is the descending node of the moon. Here is east direction. This is the ascending node of the moon. This is going northwards, right? The moon's orbit is going northwards. A grahana can happen only if the moon is in this point and the sun is also in that. Only then will a grahana happen. Okay. That's when both, otherwise, if the sun is here, what would happen? It will be an Amavasya, but it won't be a Grahana, right? That's why not all Amavasya days are Grahana days, right? So they both, the bangles, like I said, we have two bangles, and if they are slightly tilted, they have two intersecting points. One is called the Rahu, the ascending node, another is called the Ketu. Ascending node means after this node, if it is northward, then it's an ascending node. Ketu will be exactly 180 degrees opposite to it. Now, where is the ascending node right now? It's in the Kanya Rashi, right? So we have Rahu here. Where will Ketu be? Ketu will be exactly 180 degrees, right? Away from here. Which is 180 degrees away from here? Okay. So this is what the Janma Kundli of a person. When we talk about Janma Rashi, wherever Chandra is, that is the Janma Rashi of that person. So the Janma Rashi of someone born right now in Mumbai, right, at this instant is actually what? Kanya Rashi. Right? Hasta, Chitrai, Swati. So Hasta and Chitra are there in the Kanya Rashi, right? So this is towards the beginning. So this is likely to be the Hasta Nakshatra, and it is for someone who's born right now, the Janma Rashi is Kanya Rashi, and the Janma Nakshatra is Hasta Nakshatra. Okay. Now, let us come back to where will the location make an impact. Now, this is something called the Lagna, or the first house on the eastern horizon. Which is the Rashi that is right now rising? That makes the first house or the Lagna. Right now on the eastern horizon, the Rashi that is rising is Tula Rashi. So the Lagna of this person is here. So this is considered as the first house of that person. Then this will be the second house, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th. So you have Rahu in your 12th house. You have Sun in your 7th house. Because you started one from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sorry, 8th house. Right? Surya is there. Like that, calculations are made. Okay. So as per that, some heuristics, that's how, after that, the astrology dimension comes in, where they say the guna, the swabhava of that person who is in such a position, this kind of a celestial alignment, this is what is likely to happen, etc. They say. But this lagna is what will vary massively from place to place. Right now, if for at the same instant, right, we have, we should pause time. We were earlier in some other time, I think. No, time has already jumped. Let me pause time. Now again, just a revision quickly before we change our location. Where is Sun? Sun is in Rishabha Rashi. Sun is in Rishabha. And where is Mercury? Mercury, we have ascertained that is also Rishabha Rashi. Let it be in Rishabha. Where is Jupiter? Jupiter also in Rishabha Rashi, we have ascertained. Where is Shani? Shani is in Meena Rashi. Venus, Shukra is also in Meena Rashi. So we let it be in Meena Rashi. Then we have Chandra and Mangala. Moon is in Virgo, Kanya. Similarly, that ascending node, Rahu, is also in Kanya. So we write Chandra and Rahu here. And what about Rahu? Why do Rahu and Ketu are also considered grahas? That bangles, right? Two bangles I said are intersecting each other. One is the orbital plane of the Earth, another is the orbital plane of Moon. That orbital plane of Moon, if you imagine like a CD disk, that itself is revolving. That itself will complete one revolutionary period in some 18.4 years, close to 19 years. It will complete. So this Rahu Ketu also keeps shifting their places. They have calculated all this. Similarly, Mangala is in Leo. We have done all that. And the Lagna, when you look at eastward, the Libra. Okay, now Scorpius has. Okay, Scorpius is the correct Lagna actually, because Scorpius has started rising. You see,
I have a
about
quick question, Ji. The orbital planes that you mentioned about Rahu and Ketu, are those depicted in this picture here? This sky?
when I click on the Moon,
Mhm.
okay, I have asked it to highlight its orbital path for me. I said
Okay.
show orbits
Uh-huh.
permanently for the object that has been selected.
Okay.
So I have selected moon as the object, and it's showing its orbital pathway. Now let us say I choose Mercury. Mercury's orbital pathway is shown here. Can you see this, G?
Yes, 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 yes.
Around the sun is its orbital pathway.
Okay, okay, got it, got it.
When I choose Venus, it has a slightly longer orbital pathway around the sun. It goes all the way there, comes back here.
So Rahu is the orbital path for
It's the
Earth,
intersection between the orbital path of the sun and the moon.
sun and the moon. Okay, I see. I see.
Sun,
Okay,
I've fixed it in the orange color right now.
okay,
Ecliptic.
okay. And where it is intersecting, that is the Rashi in which Rahu is.
Rahu is where the ascending node is. If there is a northward motion, then it's an ascending node.
So
If
so
we
Rahu should be in Simha then.
It was in Kanya, right? So when we saw, it's still in Kanya.
Oh, it's still in Kanya. Okay, I see. I see.
And when we go to Ketu, it is also there somewhere, ending there. Right? In so we have put Ketu here in Meena.
Okay, I see. So
Now,
Ketu is the descending part of that same orbit?
descending.
Okay.
Descending means what? After that, it will be southward to ecliptic. After that, it will be northward to ecliptic.
Okay,
That is
got
ascending,
it.
no? This is descending.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Ji.
So now we go back to sun. Once I choose that. So whichever Rashi that the moon is in is your Janma Rashi. Whichever Nakshatra the moon is in is your Janma Nakshatra. Hence, what will happen? Now, if I go to some other location on Earth, so we have gone to Austin, Texas right now. Now, what has happened? I'm now in my, something else has happened, right? Now the sky is different in Austin, right? But what has happened to the planetary positions if you see? Sun, where is the sun in? Still in Rishabha. Where is the Venus in? Venus is still in Meena, but you can see Meena. I can't see Meena. It is under my Earth. Right? For someone on in Bharat. Now, let us see where is Saturn. Saturn is also still in Meena, the same place. What is my Janma Rashi then? Same. In this moment, if you were born, your Janma Rashi is Kanya and your Janma Nakshatra is also the same. If it was Hasta, if it is Hasta. Then what is different between someone born in the US now and someone born in Mumbai now? Austin versus Mumbai. If you go to back to Austin, and if you look at the Lagna will change. Now, what is rising here? Mithuna is rising. You see the leg of Mithuna has come out. So Mithuna is rising. If I go up, slowly Mithuna is rising. Can you see? I'm just pushing the time. And if I even enable this horizon, right, Mithuna is rising for me. So for someone born in Austin right now, your Lagna will become Mithuna. Thereby now, in your third house, Mangala will be there. In your fourth house, Chandra will be there. So the positions, relative positions vary, and thereby the guna, the swabhava, all that varies as per astrology. I'm not trying to foray into astrology per se, but I'm just answering that popular question. What happens when we go to different locations? People are still born in the same Rashi, same Nakshatra, right? But the Lagna will vary. Then what about twins? You might ask. Twins are born at the same time, almost the same time, etc. It is true. Twins are born at the same time. The Lagna will be the same. The chart will look very, very similar. But in the Nadigai that travels, there are some astrological calculations that will point to their differences. Depends on the karana, depends on the yoga, depends on a few other things. They will try to classify this Svabhava when it comes to astrology. So even if twins are born, like Lakshmana Shatrugna, even then, they have different nakshatras. In case of, Lakshmana and Shatrugna, they have what nakshatra? Ayilya nakshatra, Ashlesha. Okay, so this, all this still there, Swabhava is slightly different. One is dedicated to Bharata, one is dedicated to Rama, as we see, right? So all this is there, and that account, the astrological framework accounts for that. They bring out various other parameters, on top of that, and the moment of birth, etc. However, this is how the birth chart is a geospatial timestamp of someone's birth at some point in time. So then how do we celebrate Ramanavami? We want the sun to come, we want the moon to come in the Punarpusha Nakshatra. So the moon must be here. And the Tithi we know. So the angular separation between sun and moon should be something. Only on that day will we be celebrating Ramanavami, where we are asking for all the planets can't come in the same configuration. But at least the sun, moon, and their relative position to Earth has come to the same position. We follow a lunisolar calendar, and thereby our celebrations, Deepavali, Rama Navami, Krishna Ashtami, all that are celebrated based on the positions of sun, moon at that time of their birth, where they were, with respect to in relation to the earth. So if the same configuration occurs again, then we celebrate that particular Janma Tithi. So far, okay? Anything else that you would like to? What happens on the North Pole? Any questions like that? Let's say we go to the North Pole. What will happen? Our Lagna. Can you see the Lagna now? Now the Lagna is Virgo. And then the sun is still in Rishabha. All these will be in theirs. Venus is still in Meena. So like that, they will all their locations are based on their revolutionary periods, right? Their revolutionary periodicities where they are in their orbits. And the sun's position, earlier it was sun's orbit, now it is Earth's orbit, right? Relative to that, we see sun's background, that's all. So their orbital positions only matters. And the lagnas accordingly.
So I have a basic question. How did they come up with the idea of orbitals of sun and moon intersecting for Rahu Ketu just by observing the sky?
Yeah. Mainly because grahanas are not happening during Amavasyas, and later they are happening, right, Ji? Which meant they are not on the same line, right? And if they were on the same line, collusion must happen. So they understood many things, that one is masking the other. We can mask it to the sun, and slowly they figured out the orbital periods. By the time they had figured all this out in itself, we see that it's there in the Vedanga Jyotisha itself. Rahu, Ketu are all there in Vedanga Jyotisha in itself. Only that, we thought of them, the Purana Kathas tell them they are like a demon, they swallow and then they are released, the shadow swallows and the shadow releases, and then so on. They are all Puranic descriptions. And the Daiva reason could be there as well. Gee, the kind of knowledge that we have is very, very vast. What does Bhagavan Krishna say? I have done the same Upadesha to Vivaswan. And then Arjuna is asking this question, how on earth would you have actually given Upadesha to Vivaswan while you are here in this? That time he is talking about, according to some Agastya texts, if you look at some among the Siddha literature in Tamil, that is some 720 million years back. There was a interplanetary war. It is considered that the current, or some people in the know, especially some Siddhas, especially my own Guru, Shriman, they have all revealed through their dhyana that it is the current asteroid belt is because of the thwarting of a particular planet at some point in time. That planet died. Just like Arjuna was worried that all the Sanatana Dharma principles will vanish after the Mahabharata war, Varna Sangraha will happen, the Dharma, the three Dharma will move away. Various things he was worried about. All this did happen, right? A new norm is born, a new challenge is born, where everyone is part of all Varnas, where everyone is part of all genders. Sort of, everyone's taking up different roles. It's a different Sangraha, a sort of, whatever he thought will happen and he feared will happen, did happen. Similarly, Vivaswan fears various things. That a new order happens in the solar system. And that's why, Kuja, right? For example, the Sanskrit term for Mercury is Kuja, which means not Mercury, Mars is Kuja, that which is born from Ku, Prithvi. Right? Very interesting. Such an etymology, where could it have come from? Nobody is able to understand. Apaurusheya, we consider many of these knowledges, not just our observation. We have carefully cultivated the Shraddha in the Rishi Parampara to continue this knowledge tradition and make our calculations more accurate given the frameworks that we have from the Vedic times. We have kept up the same frameworks of the Vedic times and we have tried to become very accurate in our calculations over time. Otherwise, the frameworks of the Rashis, of the Nakshatras, of the Masas, all this have not changed from the Vedic times. And seers are Tattvadarshis. Based on their Tattva Darshana, they have given us various frameworks that are best suited to triangulate time in a very vast time-space scale. So we go by that. And in that, however accurate we can, with great Shraddha, all Indian astronomers have applied themselves to make these calculations within this framework to be very, very accurate. And it really serves a purpose right now. If you look at interplanetary space travel, without all these frameworks of reference, how will you even travel, right? So right now you'll have to, account for the Lagrangian points. You have to be careful, right? You cannot calculate time on the scale of Earth at all to make any of your, celestial objects that you're sending out there, inter-satellite communication even, you have to be very, very careful about it. You can't, you are force-fitting to sync it to the atomic clock, right, on a satellite right now. But after that, what happens for projections and projectiles to be sent? You're always depending on that's why even now, you see the West, why would they create such a big an instrument? The JPL labs have the ecliptic position, the ecliptic longitude, ecliptic latitude, everything, mapped. So like this, everyone has made efforts to continue this knowledge tradition as we see it.
So I have this question, Ji. So we have a lot of technology. You said about we are able to see it, right? With the telescopes and satellite, we are able to find it out. How the when we in without seeing that, how we can able to okay, this is Rashi, this is the Nakshatra, this is the Kundali, these guys belonging to. How would have they calculated these all things? Now we have all these tools and all. We are able to measure, and how would have they possible without seeing those things?
See, mainly only through seeing things. Okay. In the night, if you accustom ourselves to do careful observations and then keep guessing, estimating, keep correcting, just like how it has happened in machine learning. Now, I'm just trying to answer this question as best as I can. I'm not going into some among the mystical aspects of it. Right. For example, our Arundhati and Vasishta, our binary star system, we are talking about in a pre-telescopic era. Right. Who has seen it with the telescope to say that that's a binary star? How do we know Arundhati is walking in front of Vasishta or not? So this fundamental question of telescopic observations only matter is based on our yoga bala right now. Yoga, the Parakrama bhala of Arjuna, can we compare with ourselves right now? The Tapo bhala of these people and what we are right now, the Yuga Niyati, in which we are not able to see many of this Pratyaksha. But even now, there are tribal communities which are able to Pratyaksha do this. But after a while, if you're accustomed to one training that we are doing here, is children will any instant of the day, I'll ask them to close their eyes, point where the moon is, where the sun is. Once you keep observing their periodicities, you will be able to understand. Like I can't best explain to you how did you train to catch a ball. Like that, we have an instrumentation within ourselves. We do not do projectile calculation. We do not do velocity. In fact, Virat Kohli keeps again and again saying he flunks in math. He did not look at any projectile vectors to calculate where his hand should be, where his body must be. The instrumentation that we have is actually capable of making many of these observations. That's the very simple truth. And in that, different people with great yoga bala have deepened that instrument. And because I have Shraddha and yoga bala, I have Shraddha when our ancient seers have simply sat there and then observed many of these observations. And they are able to tell us. It's important to again and again stress the fact that it is pre-telescopic is because of the fact that we are not dependent on another mission. If you look at Mahabharata, Vyasa Bhagavan is showing teleportation all the time. He will keep appearing randomly at different points. Right? I have Shraddha in the Puranas. Right? And similarly, this knowledge, when I look at many of these, what I can infer for a fact is that their Parakramitva was way higher. Yoga Niyati, various other things, we do not uphold it right now. But the capability is fully there with us. Okay. I've tried my best to answer some among this. Always, it's very, very interesting, in a Nakshatra Vidya class. And it will never, discussions will seemingly never come to an end if we can actually, delve into it again and again. It's only when we meditate upon it very seriously, we get many answers. Let me go into something even more fascinating. Okay, we are just mind. This is like everything was mind blowing for me when I was learning about it, probably in 2010 and 11. And then from then on, every day I sit with the granthas. I sit with Nakshatra Vidya granthas, trying to understand what they have done, how all they would have deciphered various things. Now, here at least the framework is like this. When I start reading the Siddha literature, it's shaking my very spine, very nerve. They have done, scales that I can't imagine. But this is again something very, very fascinating. One, what we know about is this ayana, right? But then there is something called ayana chalana. We know that in this periodicity, there is a period where the tilt of the earth, right, is making a particular angular is in a particular angular incidence with respect to its plane of orbiter, which is currently at 23.5 degrees. Okay. This is currently at 23.5 degrees. Right? This 23.5 degrees actually creates the equinoxes and solstices, right, for us. Somewhere when this angle was not at all incidental for us, I remember sharing this earlier, correct? So at some point in time, this angular tilt is creating a particular season, an experience on earth, and it's creating the Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. Figuring out that it is our tilt is amazing, right? And having known, this tilt, we calculate our solstitial days and the equinoctial days. Now, these equinoctial days have been precessing. Okay. For example, Uttarayana used to happen when Makara Sankranti and Uttarayana coincided. Now it is happening around December 21. Makara Sankranti is happening around January 14. What is meant by Makara Sankranti? The sun is apparently entering the Capricorn, the Makara Rashi. That time for us, Uttarayana would have started at some point in time. Correct? But now Uttarayana is starting when December 21 in itself it's starting. So just so if you don't know, there is something called the equinoxes and solstices. So the sun rises exactly in due east and sets exactly on due west only on 2 specific days of a year, which are the vernal and autumnal equinoxes. They are called the Vishuvad Dinas. Right? Technically, Sayana Meshadi and Tuladi. Technically. Okay. Around the same summer, around the summer solstice or Uttarayana, the sun rises the farthest to the northeast and then sets farthest to the northwest. It's called the Uttarayana Anta, Uttarayana Anta. After this period, the southern movement begins. So that is the day when we experience the longest day and the shortest night in the northern hemisphere, vice versa in the southern hemisphere. Bhanor Makara Sankrantehe Shanmasa Uttarayanam. When the Makara Sankranti happens, from then on 6 months are Uttarayana. That's the traditional knowledge, which has not been happening. This happened at a particular point in time. Taddeva divastastatra shubham karyam prashasyate. Uttarayana is considered good for all shubha karya. Karka adirashi shatkerke shanmasa dakshinayanam. Devaratrista devatra proktam karye prasiddhyati. So this, this is considered the Devaratri. Which one? The Dakshinayana. Okay. Why the northern pole? It's a Ratri. So this we know, right? For us, if Earth was in the center and if the sun was moving around us, there is a Uttarayana and then there is a Dakshinayana. So these S1 and S3 points are the equinoctial points. S2 and S4 are the solstitial points. What happens? This is experienced, as I said, as we go around the sun. The tilt allows us, there are 2 points where the tilt doesn't matter. Both the hemispheres create the same angular incidence with respect to the sun. But then there are 2 points where the tilt matters a lot. This is actually, it helps us calculate the duration of day, duration of night, depending on where we are on the orbital. And this Uttarayanam is the apparent northward movement. Now it is starting around December 21 and it goes on till June 21. Then from June 21 to again December 21 is the Dakshinayana. In between those 2 periods, there is a solstitial period, right? In March 21 and here in September 21, we have a solstitial period. However, like the spinning top, okay, like this precessing top, the axial tilt of the Earth is actually precessing. So this, we showed this, right? This Earth is tilted, right? What if this tilt itself was precessing? And this, in the Indian tradition, we have found it to be some 25,000, close to 26,000 years. Today, modern astronomy says it is 25,800 years estimation. So this entire Earth's axial tilt itself is precessing, which means our Dhruva Nakshatra should change. Today, Polaris is our Dhruva Nakshatra. This entire axial tilt itself undergoes a full clockwise rotation. When such an axial tilt keeps changing, this point on the orbit will keep changing, correct? If this was in a rotational way, if it was spinning, now it's pointing here. At some point in time, this entire tilt could be like this also, right? And then the Earth could be like this also, right? Because this thing is spinning in itself. Right? That tilt in itself is spinning. So the very way in which we experience seasons, our pole star, everything will change based on that. That we have recorded. Okay. So this, as a result of this, the relative orientations of the ecliptic and the celestial equator in the space keeps steadily varying, maintaining the angle of inclination around an average 23.5 degrees. In fact, this tilt itself, now modern astronomy says that from 22.5, right? 22.5 to 24, it can vary because of the magnetic core of the Earth, various other forces, right? This tilt, today it's at 23.5. In fact, Aryabhatta calculates it at 24 degrees. Okay. It has slowly reduced now to 23.5 degrees, actually, this tilt. So these equinoctial points on the ecliptic are marked by 2 points. Okay. They are marked by 2 points, which are the rho and the sigma. Okay. So this, they keep precessing. That is the day in which the equinox should attend, must happen is precessing. See, it should have ideally happened at some, in 1,600 years ago. It happened exactly during Makara Sankranti. January 14, the equinoctial day was happening. Now what has happened? It has precessed a lot, and today it is happening in December 21 instead of January 14. So like that, this precision has been happening. So all this in the Indian calendar, they used to conduct a sadas and then rejig all this. Such sadas have reduced right now, but now the mutts are all working again towards creating good Panchanga sadas. And the next decade or so, they might update many things. Okay, when we celebrate Uttarayana, everything might change quite a bit. So now today we are pointing to Polaris. At some point in time, we were pointing to Vega. Some point in time to Tuban. All this, has been well documented in the Indian texts.
So what would be the Dhruva for us?
Today it is Polaris.
Okay.
Today it is Polaris only. At some point in time, which means we are talking about at least 15, when we talk about 25,000, right? When we talk about 25,800 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
It should have taken us, a span of 12,900 years, right? From Vega to Polaris. Okay. From Vega to Polaris.
Okay.
So at least this much data point we have been observing.
Okay.
At different points in time.
Mm-hmm.
So then every other, men the anthropogenic discovery of agriculture happened only 10,000 years ago. All that, everything goes to goes to trash when you look at these kinds of data points, right?
So how did we infer that at some point we had considered Vega as the our
we have noted it down in the Vedas. In the Vedas, they are noted down.
Okay.
So Vega, Tuban, both of them are noted down. At some during when Brihaspati did something, Tuban was there. When something happened there, Vega was the Dhruva Nakshatra. Like that, it has been noted down.
I see. Okay.
So note that the precession happens in the clockwise direction, right? Because of this, the points in the sky to which Earth's axis points to also changes over time. Today, Polaris is our North Star, being the closest celestial object to the Earth's axis of rotation. It was perfectly aligning some time back. Now it has slightly shifted. However, due to precession, this was not always the case. Around 14,000 CE, the star Vega will again become, in the constellation of Lyra, will take the Polaris place, right? Now, the shifting equinoctial points in the Indian astronomy, we have the Sayana tradition and the Nirayana tradition. Okay. So, if everything was shifting, how would we continue calculating time properly? How will we know if we have, attained the same point when it comes to our orbital position, right? In the orbit, if we have to arrive at the same point, then only the new year is born, correct? So that's why we keep making corrections in the Sayana and the Nirayana traditions. In the Nirayana tradition, whatever longitude the west says, we will do minus some 26 degrees, etc. Because we have been calculating since that time for our calculations to work. So precision also impacts the equinoctial points. So both the equinoctial and the solstitial points will keep varying. Okay. In the Indian astronomy, the concept of Ayanamsha refers to the angular difference between the vernal equinox and the 0 points of the sidereal zodiac. What we'll do is, the day on which it is occurring, we will note that point on the celestial sphere. Okay, also, right? That point will keep changing. That is, when the sun was in a particular point, it would have happened, right? That equinoctial day. That will keep changing slowly. So that point will keep changing in the sky. So similarly, right, as I said, this Tuban 5,000 years ago, it is noted that a star called Tuban was the celestial star, and 14,000 years ago, Vega and all the Abhijit was the name identifying the Vega Alpha Lyrae as the pole star earlier. Similarly, Tuban is Alpha Draconis today, right? So all these, have been given in Vriddha Garga Samhita, and so many other ancient texts. These changes have been written about. The word Dhruva occurs in many places, starting from the Rig Veda. The meaning for this word is fixed, true, stationary, or unchanging. The word Dhruva in later text clearly identifies Polaris Alpha, in the Ursa Minor configuration. constellation. Similarly, Polaris is the closest star to the North Celestial Pole today, and it reaches its closest point around the year 2100. Though it is not exactly at 90 degrees, it is close enough, and it's about 86. It was observed to be 86 degrees in the 15th century by the Kerala astronomers. A line connecting to the star Mercati was recognized to rotate like a hand in a clock earlier. So that was also a night clock that they created. Between Polaris and Mercati, they tried to create a clock for the nighttime navigators. This fact was used by Padmanabha to develop his astronomical instrument Dhruva Matsya Yantra for finding time as in a clock in the night very accurately. So similarly, the shift in the equinoctial points adds up to several days over centuries. The dating of Mahabharata has been attempted using this correction only. We have, as I said, right, Bhishma Pitamaha was waiting for Uttarayana, right? And which is, and that Bhishma Ashtami is actually right now celebrated one day after Ratha Saptam. But is it happening in Uttarayana right now? No, not on the Uttarayana Punyakala, right? This refers to the death of Bhishma, who waited 60 days on a on a bed of arrows, right, for death, right? Sharashaya, right? So all this they were trying to do. And then the rate of motion can be arrived by dividing this 360 degrees in 25,800, right? Which means every year 50 arc minutes, 27 arc seconds it is moving. So in about 72 years, 1 degree will get covered. 72 years it will take for 1 degree change in that tilt, right? So all this the Indian astronomers have carefully and keenly observed. So this is what I wanted to cover today. Any questions we can ask here. Anything else you would like to discuss also, we can discuss. A little in 2-3 minutes, we have a puja here. I wanted to go for that. Any other questions? We are happy to attend to it and then go.
We can wrap up, G. The only thing is next week we will continue this discussion, or what is the topic for next week?
I need one more session, Ji, to finish the Tithi, Nakshatra and Panchatra.
Okay, Ji.
After that, there can be a Swadhyaya session.
Swadhyaya thing. Okay, sounds good, Ji. Yeah, please send the slides for the last class. Last
just
class
waiting
and
for the topic to end. To send
both sessions.
Yes,
slides. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We will let the teacher go, and we will connect back next week with our questions. Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again for joining. We will reconvene next week.